Now another thing a lot of people want to know is, a lot of people think that you have to readjust this knob. Now I'm going to show you something, and it's very important that you listen to what I'm saying. You don't ever adjust this thermostat or tamper with this with hot water in this heater, ever. You really don't have to adjust this unless something really happens. But I'm going to show you how you set it, and we do not suggest turning this up past the maximum limitation of the actual, but they will get out of adjustment every once in a while. So you remove this knob. As you see right here, there's a lock nut and a tab and a stop. You can see there's a little mark right here, little mark right there. It says 70. You'll see I'm going to turn it. Let me use this tool so you can see it better. It clicks open, and when it shuts, right there on 70. You see that? That's what we always want this heater to do, is shut on 70. If it shuts a little sooner or a little later, you have to loosen this lock nut that jams the tab on the shaft that's not splined. Then you have to readjust it to where it clicks off on 70. And that's the correct position. And don't ever set this any higher, because remember I had mentioned to you earlier that this really is not the heat control. You got to look at this control knob here as a high limit shutdown, because the only time this dial here comes into play is when you let go of the trigger and the water stops. Then finally the temperature will come up to where this is set and shut off. So you get what we call spiking. So let's say that it's 200 degrees when you're normally cleaning carpets, and that's what it maintains. But then I turn this up to there, I let go of the trigger, and it'll spike to 250. But then once you pull the trigger and you're doing commercial work, it'll automatically come back to the original 200, no matter what you got this set. That's why it's really not a heat control as far as maintaining temperature. But in a lot of cases you're on and off the trigger a lot anyway, like in residential, and it will cause it to climb under those conditions. So what we do to get the heater to actually perform better, we run a larger line to the heater. It's a 1 inch tube, and that increases the performance of the heater. It allows this heater to maintain 240 degrees on a 10 flow wand at 500 and 600 pounds. That's plenty hot enough. We don't need any more volume of water. It'll also maintain 220 on a spinner with 202 jets. At 1300 psi, it'll maintain 220 under those conditions at that pressure. So that's the performance of the heater is extremely good. Another thing about this heater, under extreme conditions, commercial or doing tile floor, it only burns 0.9 of 1 gallon of gas per hour, which is amazingly efficient. Residential, it has probably burns about a half gallon an hour propane, maintaining high temperature too. And the reason it does that is that when you release the trigger more often, it shuts the flame off, you know, when you let go of the trigger, and that's why it'll save more fuel. So anyway, let's see here. Alright, now let's go ahead and I'm going to show you basically, so we went over the inspection. Inspect it to make sure it's not leaking, the coils aren't leaking, make sure the burner rings, you know, straight in line with the coil. Make sure your thermocouple's not touching anything. So, okay, now what we're going to do now, I'm going to pull the burner ring out of here for you, and I'll show you how to properly clean the jets and get the dust out of the burner ring. A lot of people think you have to use compressed air. You don't. You don't use compressed air. So, we're going to come up here with a line wrench, and this is a 3/8, and we're going to come right here. I'm going to talk about this actual fitting here. It's very easy to cross thread. This is a fine thread on this thermocouple. So when you reattach this, I want you to make extra sure that you're not having to force it. When you get it right, it'll just go in there very easy. That should never be tight. If it's tight, you're getting ready to cross thread it. If you cross thread it and strip it, you got to buy a whole new thermostat, which is like $125, just because be real careful with that. Don't cross thread it. And then I'll take my needle nose pliers here and I'll disconnect the striker right there. That's a little electric striker. And I'll take this line so make sure you use line wrenches. You can try to get by with regular wrenches, but it'll probably flatten the nut out. My hands are so big I can't hard time getting in there. Okay. Alrighty. You just do this whenever you get a performance loss in the heater. Okay, so we got that pulled apart right there. Now we take our here on the bottom we have a little support right there. So I'm just going to take this off. This is my first video doing this, so I'll probably make this one a lot nicer than this. I just want to. We bought that camera a couple years ago. I was out of Connections and did some stuff with Pro Cleaners. Y'all might see it on YouTube. And that's really the last time I used a camera. I was planning on doing a lot of videos. Anyway, let me see here. We'll get this bottom line off here. And it's just a little support. A lot of little screws in this heater. I'll do another video later on how to take the coil out in case you bust it and freeze it. Show you how to repair it or either replace the coil or whatever. Okay, so we got that bottom bracket. It's pretty easy. I mean, there's not much to it. Alright, now watch what I do here. It's really easy to work on the heater. And I'll pull this apart. Got my big monster wrench here. Alright. Now it's just a swivel. So that's just a swivel. Nothing to it. Now we'll just grab this. The number 3 heater is the same way. Turn this metal sideways right here. Let me see. Turn that sideways. See how I'm turning that? There's the burner ring. That's the same as the number 3, it's just got a lot more jets on it. So I'll come over here, we're going to put it in this vise. I'll just stick it in that vise.